I'd like to welcome everyone to this very exciting webinar this morning, Mastering Employee Experience at Northern Beaches Council. I'm Chloe Dervin, the Managing Director of Webvine, and I'm joined today by Natasha Greennow from Northern Beaches Council. So welcome, very much welcome, Natasha. It's great to have you here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and I'd really love to welcome clients that I can see that are joining, and also partners, and also those of you that we haven't met before. So welcome, welcome. So as we kick off, I want to give you a bit of information about who we are, Webvine. So Webvine are SharePoint and Microsoft 365 experts. We love helping our clients across this incredible platform, and particularly with our product Ingeo, which is an intranet accelerator built on top of SharePoint. It's also the intranet that Northern Beaches Council utilises. So really excited to talk about that today. We have a fabulous webinar lined up today. We're going to be covering quite a lot of content. And so what I'd like to do firstly is to introduce you again, Natasha, and talk a bit about you. So you are a Senior Internal Communications Officer at Northern Beaches Council. You've had a lot of experience in council, starting from being a ranger at Bankstown Council before moving over up north. And then you moved into communications area the communications area as a marketing and media officer at what was the Warringah Council. That was before the amalgamation. So then following the amalgamation of Pittwater, Warringah and Manly councils, which became the Northern Beaches Council, and you took up the role of internal communications. And one of your first undertakings was to create a new intranet for that amalgamated council. So welcome again. We're really glad to have you here on this webinar.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, love this picture. What a great crowd. So what I thought we'd do was let's start by hearing from you, Natasha, about why the focus on employee experience. Why is it so very important for local government, and also particularly for the Northern Beaches Council?
Yeah, well, for anybody who's online that doesn't know much about local government, we're one of the most diverse workforces you'll ever find. At Northern Beaches Council, we have 23 different business units who provide services, you know, from what you would expect, like your roads, rates and rubbish, you know, but we also support the youth in the area, our arts area, you know, we're at the forefront of things like climate change initiatives. So council does pretty much everything. And if we're not doing it, someone's probably asking us to. So we're normally having to do anything around that. We therefore require people from every sort of walk of life who has a variety of skills. So, you know, it's really important that we have a valuable employee experience for everybody. And the best way that we can do that is to engage with our staff as often as possible and be communicating with them. As you can probably see from my background, Northern Beaches is pretty unique. We have a great area. But like it looks like in the picture, we are on a peninsula. So we're also known as a bit of the Insular Peninsula. It's kind of a pro and a con. So we have plenty of people who want to stay here, not many leave, but then it's also hard for people to get here. So yeah, if you do have the fortune of working here, you can go for a surf at lunchtime. Or if you don't surf like me, you can go for one of the many great walks in the area. So like I said, though, it can be a challenge. We don't have trains, but we do have some great bus service. So if you are thinking of a job here, you know, easy enough to jump on the bus. But one of the best things about our area is also that 80% of our workforce are local. And with that 80%, a third of them have been here for more than a decade. So not only have they come here, they love it here so much, they don't want to leave. And I actually have a bit of a running joke with people when they do farewells. I go, I don't do farewells anymore because you all come back. So everybody who ever goes comes back because they know it's an awesome place. So we're very heavily invested in making sure our staff are having an enjoyable experience. And it's not just about ball games, as this picture might make you think. It's about also having a great career here at council. We're also the largest employer on the Northern Beaches, but, you know, it doesn't mean that we're slacking off. We want to be the choice of employer. We want to be a leader in the local government industry. So we make sure that that experience that our employees have is a valuable one.
Mm. And so let's jump right in and talk about your intranet, because this is such a pivotal part of that employee experience. So tell us a bit about this beautiful Northern Beaches Council intranet and how it fits in with your employees day to day.
Well, so for our end users, this is what pops up every day. So the moment they open their computers up, they get access to all of the latest news happening across council, information about things that might be changing, but also information about projects that are important to them or interesting to them, as well as stories about each other and activities they can get involved in, and access to our programs like our recognition program, which is called Making a Difference, and our Ignite Improvement program.
It's on the right there, isn't it?
Yeah, it's on the right there. So yeah, it's the launch platform for everybody's day. It's access to their apps. It's access to every piece of information they need to get on with doing their job and to enjoying their experience here at Northern Beaches.
So, you know, clients ask us this question all the time, and we know from feedback and the advice that we give our clients is that you really need to create a dynamic homepage as a way to drive interest and engagement for employees. So what are some of the things that you've noticed that work to drive more interaction and engagement in terms of keeping your homepage engaging?
Yeah, so we have hundreds of editors. So I work with people wide across the organization.
Hundreds?
It is hundreds. Some do just some calendar entries, some are doing news articles. But yeah, I work with them and we work on the same principles all the time about let's make sure it stays engaging. And this audience is your internal audience. They know you, you know them. Let's talk to them like they're friends. So, you know, always think about anything that you're producing from the reader's angle. So it's all about attracting the reader. So if we have an image, we'd like to use staff images, but sometimes things don't allow staff images because it might not be that exciting, like contract management. Woo! You know, it might not be the most exciting thing, but it is essential to our workforce. So, you know, looking for stock images through the NGO network that, you know, might be able to still engage your reader. So, you know, our procurement team took on, I guess, a bit of an Optus approach of using animals. And so they use the lion in this one about keeping your eyes focused on getting the maximum value. So it's all about that sort of thing. Just, it's what you see every day in every other sort of marketing. You shouldn't just think it's the intranet and I'll just go, oh, it's all right, I'll just do something bland. So it's the images. It's also things like your headlines. So, you know, this is another one of our procurement teams one, you know, it's about keeping your eyes on contract management. So quirky picture, and I love this little owl, quirky image, quirky headline. But sometimes, you know, also headlines can be fun because you do want them to click on your story, but sometimes it just needs to be what it is. If it's about a change to people's payroll, that's important to them and you can just be upfront with that. So it's about just thinking about what would you want to see if you were looking for something. And when it comes to writing the story, my motto is less is always more. So for anybody who's never heard it before, people don't really read. We're worse than goldfish. We scan and we pretty much scan in an F pattern to look for what's important to us. So that's where you want your key information. This isn't a place to write your thesis. And people, once they start to scroll, have stopped reading. So you want to keep it above that scroll line. And this is the thing I work with all the editors around. So that would be my key kind of outtakes from that. And then when it comes to anything, be consistent, but be adaptable. So you still want it to look and feel like your organization, but sometimes you can tweak things up to make it more engaging. You know, The Thrive section you see over on your right-hand side is a carousel. It's not actually designed for that function to be there, but we found that was a way to engage people towards some high-profile areas. The news section where we've got our inspiring teams is just a different way to use the news modules. So, you know, just thinking about what your audience wants to see is important. So that's probably my key takeaways that I give my intranet editors.
Yeah, that's great. And, you know, I think they're such simple tips, but, you know, using the tips makes the difference. And I really love what you've done in terms of using the different capabilities of the platform and bending them and flexing them in different ways so that they can create a different result, and moving things around to create a bit of that interest and to wake people up to the content. That's fantastic. This is a great slide here. So tell us a bit about how you counter that feedback that no one's on the intranet. You know, and I'm sure there's many heartbroken intranet managers out there that say, well, you know, put so much effort into it and still no one's reading the intranet. Is that true? Is that even true?
Well, I do say to people, just because you build it doesn't mean they'll come. It's not the Field of Dreams. We're not in a Kevin Costner movie here. So you can't expect just because you put out your story that everyone's going to read it. Everybody's time poor, including everybody on here. So, you know, again, it's thinking about your end user. Think about what they want to see. So you need to make sure it's going to matter to them. But at the end of the day, you know, it also takes that repetition and working at it and using all of those small tips to keep people coming back. You know, we didn't all know who Coke were when they first were invented, but now you wouldn't find a person on the planet that doesn't know who Coke is. So it's those same principles that you would see externally, you need to use them internally with your staff.
So can we jump into some of the analytics?
Yeah, for sure, because they tell the story. So every time my IT people tell me nobody reads the intranet, I go, of course they don't, but that's what people say because they're just scanning. So nobody is reading it, like I said, like a encyclopedic version, but they are using it. You can see from how many people are in your analytics. You can see the session visits. You can see what they're searching. So don't let people tell you nobody's reading it. Use your analytics. And if they're not reading it, why aren't they reading that bit? Work at it, see what else you can develop with it, and use your people. People want to see their own people. So that's what we find is people on the move, things around jobs, things around well-being are really always your key areas. But of course, we've still got to deal with all of the other things that have to happen in the workplace. So it's important to keep finding ways to make them engaging.
Pretty impressive analytics, actually. And yet we do always see that people love finding out about each other. So it's no surprise that a lot of the content around people and also the content about well-being is really popular.
Yeah.
So actually, moving on to well-being, one area we know that you seem considerable interest is in your well-being program, which you call Thrive. So tell us about this hub here. Tell us about what the program is and how it integrates with the intranet. And also I'd love to hear the type of impact it's having for employees.
Yeah, so I'm sure everybody here has done the employee engagement type survey before. You know, we've always done quite well in those, but then during COVID, we also wanted to do that extra check-in around everyone's well-being, which we had great results. Look, we didn't have to put people off. We actually redeployed people to help our community, which means they're helping one another, given that they mostly live here. So it really helped support the well-being of our staff and our community at the same time. And so we wanted, though, to make it easier for our staff to feel supported. So we took everything and brought it together in a contemporary way. So we have what we call our 4 pillars, which are, you know, your physical, your mental, your environment, and your connection with one another. And so we brought it all together on one hub page so that they could access everything they needed from one central area. So, you know, we have things like an employee assistance program, we have well-being reimbursements, we have access to gyms, we have a fitness passport. We also have access to what we call our Healthy Body and Mind Hub, which is provided by a third party. And that has a new monthly refresh every month we change over. So there's new recipes, there's new stretch sessions, and you can still access all of the old things there as well.
That's what we're seeing over on the right.
That's what we're seeing on the right. That's correct. And so all of these help to support the well-being of our staff. And then we found through that, supporting their well-being, that we're seeing the results again in our engagement surveys. So, you know, I think you'll see that in our engagement survey, even during the height of COVID, we still saw a 3% increase in staff wellbeing sentiment. So even though when we were the lockdown of the most lockdowns up this end, we were still seeing our staff feel, you know, well in themselves and happy to work here. And our latest pulse survey, which we just did, show that everybody rates us, well, everybody, 80%. It's a pretty good rating as a great place to work. So, you know, we know that our staff are really benefiting from our Thrive program.
That's incredible, because the Northern Beaches area had such a severe lockdown. Like the rest of us didn't, were feeling sorry for you up there. So even, you know, and you're saying that most of your staff live in the area. So in spite of that, you still had an increase in well-being during that time is, you know, incredible.
Yeah. Great bunch to work with. What can I say? But and they look, you know, you've just popping them up there, Chloe. Look,
yes,
the things they're saying about the Thrive program, you know, that says it all. Like you can throw whatever you want at it and look at that as data, which of course I love, but to hear their sentiments coming back like that, that's to keep it up and to keep going with it. Like it's not just a one-off thing. It's about bringing that holistic approach to well-being in the organisation. So yeah, their comments just say it all, I feel.
And that's great to get that feedback when, you know, you are making such a huge effort to, you know, to keep everyone happy and engaged.
Yeah, absolutely.
I also love the creative side of what you've been doing. So can we talk a bit about this and perhaps share? So what we're seeing here is a couple of pages of your intranet with these Thrive Hive ideas and some really interesting and beautiful creative examples. So tell us about this.
Yeah, so we wanted to use the intranet as, particularly because it was had been COVID, but you know, it is a bright and happy place, a place where we can connect with one another. So we wanted to look at everyone's mental health well-being, given that most of us were stuck indoors. So, you know, what could we do other than setting up a meditation session and another talk? So, you know, creativity actually helps with your mental health. And so we created a Thrive Hive. So essentially people could either do things as individuals, they could do things as a team. So some teams sit in different areas. So they were doing different pieces that were coming together at the end. And we ended up with 50 pieces on show. So to give them ideas along the way, we created a type of Pinterest page. You know, we created forms that were online. And because we got stuck in another lockdown, we did a little sneak peek session where some of the artists jumped online and we did a webinar. And then we also had our online version, as well as up on the left hand side, you can see what it looked like when it was in situ around the organisation. And we had an event for that where people could walk around to the different areas because social distancing and all, and they could see all the different artworks. So it was just like any other sort of art display you would go and see. We had boards up that told people about it. So it's just another way to engage. And we're working on we want to do this one again as well because everyone had so much fun, but we're also working on another one at the moment, which is our Move It May program, which is all about our physical well-being. So that kicked off yesterday. And we've been out at the depots. Well, I was out at the depot yesterday morning and this morning at the two different depots, and we were doing stretch exercises with our field staff. Bike ride yesterday. We've got a run tomorrow.
Wow.
Yeah, there's something on every day during the week, and staff have access to our aquatic facilities for other things as well, and things on the hub that we saw earlier.
So this is all, you know, within the theme of supporting connection between employees, building connections across the teams as well? Like, how do you, because obviously, you know, you said before that council has a very diverse range of employees. Some of them are in the office, some of them are out at the field. Like, how do you make sure that, you know, everyone feels that they're getting equal access to everything that's been done?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the whole concept of this idea, is that there's things before work, lunch times, after work, so that, you know, depending on where you work and what times you work, you can still be connected. You know, with yesterday morning with the field staff, we took a photo and we posted it also online, and that has had a massive engagement, you know, because also the people who are in the office, you know, they don't always get to catch up with them in person. So they've been giving little loves and likes and comments, and really supportive of our field staff being involved in this program as well. So it's all about those, using all of the channels to engage with everybody, you know, and we found by lifting everyone's morale, like, it not only means that we have actually managed through employee experience to get people here, but also to keep people here and have a lower absenteeism. So, you know, this sort of cross connection and support is really integral to our employee experience.
And I just wanted to touch on your employee recognition program as well, which is something that there's a couple of different levels of that program that people can access through the intranet. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. We have our Making a Difference program. So, you know, that was on that homepage on the right hand side, where you can click a button and send someone a thank you, you know, and it gets publicly recognized there that, you know, you've done a great job. You can also give somebody an above and beyond, which is that next level up, where they can be awarded a gift certificate. So the managers look at, you know, okay, what were they doing? Is that, you know, an awesome project? And it goes up in tiers to our next level, where they get awarded things at our quarterly awards, which is our Leading the Way. And then we have our Shaping the Future award, which is the big one at the end of the year, where and it goes out to sometimes individuals and sometimes teams. So it can be on a project, you know, like some of our library projects, our 24/7 library project, the Thrive program with the human resources team, you know, they were acknowledged for the work they've done under that. So it's about acknowledging people who are doing great work across council.
And a great way to connect people with what's happening around the organisation when they get visibility as to these recognitions.
Absolutely. And, you know, if you're not recognising each other, who's going to do it? So, you know, it's just a great way to everybody to get connected. So, you know, that's what our intranet's about, is, you know, raising the profile of one another and supporting each other.
Just coming to another really interesting slide. So I know with local government, there's always so many different events that are happening that local government take part of, whether it's a particular day or a week. There's always an opportunity to talk about something interesting that's happening. So tell us a bit about how you do that, and what are the special events that are coming up, and how do you incorporate them into the intranet?
Yeah, well, there is a day for everything in like, I think we've spoken before that there's even a pirate day, so where you get to speak like a pirate. So you do have to pick and choose sometimes, but there are some key ones which can, it's also about leveraging different things with other things. So, you know, for us, Harmony Week also ran alongside the same time around International Women's Day. So we brought some of those aspects together. So we highlighted our International Women's Day area with some videos and things. We had a lunch with Harmony Day, and we also talked about diversity as part of that, because it was also during the Pride Festival that we had all of these things kind of happening at the same time. So we brought all those sorts of things together. And we use the intranet again as that platform. So even if we're holding an event, we have similar imagery that we will then link off for a form. We also have stories around those things. We have people sharing stories or their experiences as well, and guest speakers. So at different times, we've done different guest speakers for different events. And then if you look at, like, NAIDOC Week is coming up, Sorry Day is coming up. So on the 26th of May, we're having an interactive cultural experience with a young local Aboriginal woman. So where she's going to come in and talk to the organisation about Sorry Day and what it means to her. And we're going to get up and move it around the room and get the chairs out of the way and actually get involved in some performance.
Oh,
so
wow.
yeah, it's all about finding those ways, but using the intranet to leverage those as one of your channels. So yeah, even Privacy Awareness Week, you know, we have stories around that and highlighting cybersecurity, which is at the forefront for everybody. So, you know, it might sound like the most unexciting week, but it's actually really critical, and trying to find ways to make that exciting is important on our intranet.
I'm going to be interested to see what visual you come up for the Privacy Awareness Week. Well, we're coming to the end of the webinar. Wow, we've covered a lot and some really practical tips on using the internet for engagement. I really like the way that you've been, you know, using the different modules to present imagery and ideas and content in different ways, and always bringing people to the intranet as a source of truth for understanding what's going on in the intranet and for supporting their well-being and engagement. We have a couple of minutes for questions. So I do have a couple of questions, and I forgot to mention, if you do have questions, please post them in the Q&A. We've got a few questions already here. So we have one. Firstly, it says, it all looks great, fantastic. I wanted to ask a question about intranet analytics and whether you use SharePoint stats or a third-party tool.
We use Google Analytics.
Yeah, so that's integrated into the intranet platform as well. And also, here we go. Do you use videos for internal comms?
Yes, we do. At varying times, different things. So we have online presentations with the CEO sometimes, so they're recorded and showcased there. So I guess it's sometimes a double up, because some people, being a massive organization and, like I said, so diverse, not everybody can always make it to things. So we try and record things as well, and then pop them on the intranet so that people can access them.
So with a video library.
Yeah.
One question is, did you give your intranet a name?
Yes, the intranet. Sometimes people get too quirky with it. So yeah, if you know, I think, like I said, like, you know, we've got lots of different areas in council, and at one point we tried to name what, I don't know how many people use Trim here, but you know, it's just a record keeping area, and we put it out to the staff, and the majority of people wanted it to be called Trim. So sometimes keeping it simple is not a bad thing. Just saying what it is not the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, we have a lot of different clients who approach that differently. For some people, it's very meaningful to have a name, and they usually play off their organizational name or what it's meant to achieve. So yeah, really interesting. I've got a couple of interesting questions about resourcing. So here, saying that they're a small internal communications team, how would you scale the work that you do but still achieve some of that awesome vibe of the intranet?
Okay, so my team is me. So if you're smaller than just me, then you're doing all right. That's.
But you said before you had 100 content.
Yeah, that's right, because I actually leverage off the entire organization and use it as a way to empower them. So with Move It May at the moment, you know, I'm tapping people on the shoulder who are in the Be Safe, Be Well crew, asking them to lead a walk or a run. When it comes to the editors, they're the subject matter experts, so they write the articles. I then have a look at them and publish them and fine tune them. And sometimes they send me a message that says, I can't find something fun and creative, Tash, find me something fun and creative. And so it's all that working with them and empowering them and helping them develop themselves as well.
Do you do any particular training, like formal training, or is it more of an informal thing where you keep them close and you guide them? Like how do you onboard any of these content editors in any particular way?
So when new editors come on, it's probably about an hour session that I run through with them, and run through some of those basic principles, because a lot of the time these people, that's not their role in the world of what they do. And so I do, you know, also say that I'm not asking them to become a marketer either. So yeah, we give them an understanding of how to use the platform, some of those writing tips, and then work with them as they develop their stories.
And I love that's why you've kept it so simple in terms of those tips that you shared with us earlier, because you're right. These people are not, it's not their primary role in comms, but, you know, they've obviously got expertise and subject matter expertise in their area and enthusiasm to contribute.
Right.
So harnessing that enthusiasm to make it really work and provide a cohesive experience on the intranet is important too.
And they're your spokespeople that are going to then talk to the rest of the staff, because they're creating those stories as well. So, you know, if they create a story about youth and it's their area, they're going to tell everybody else in their team, hey, look at my story. Like, you know, and so it all becomes this, you know, interconnection.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, we've got so many questions, but just recognizing we're coming to the end of our time. Just one last one is really around engaging field staff and teams that are not in front of their computer all the time. How, you know, it is a challenge. How do you best do that?
So with the intranet, you know, we provide versions that can be printed as well, because like this morning when we're at the depot, you know, they're getting ready to go off into their trucks and out into the field. So, you know, it's about connecting those pieces, but giving them the ability to get back to some of those sources when they need to. So, you know, we did the stretch exercises, but they wanted to know where will they find them later online so that then they can access them again. So we'll produce ones on paper for those that don't readily access it, but others, you know, they're more tech savvy, or, you know, and they're happy to get onto their devices and access them there. So it's just about working with that niche area to find what works for them.
Oh, big thank you, Natasha. This has been a really fantastic session. I can tell through the abundance of questions that have come through. I really, really want to thank you for your time. It's great that the enthusiasm and the energy that you're putting into the intranet to keep it engaging and creative. And so congratulations with that. And good luck with Move It May. That's such a great initiative, and I'm sure your teams would like it. I'm a bit jealous. I would like to be doing some of the activities that are scheduled. But yes, wanted to thank you again for your time today. And thank you all of you at home that have been participating on with this webinar, and really hope that you've also received some value from this, and wanted to encourage you on your intranet journeys as well.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chloe.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.